We've got the National Football League Players Association. Over 1,800 players participated in grading NFL teams in a number of different categories, spanning from how you treat my diet, the kind of weight room that I got to work out in, how training table is, how I feel about the coach, how I feel about the owner, how you treat my family when they're around on game day. Some interesting stuff, interesting feedback. And it's all made public, although anonymous all the way around. It's all made public because the NFLPA publishes the actual results of asking players their report cards. And as you might expect or suspect, 49ers did very, very well. What you might not expect is that the team that has won back-to-back Super Bowls graded out the worst. So the whole, if you have a good grade, what, you've just lost a Super Bowl, and if you've won back-to-back Super Bowls, you get an F- for the Kansas City Chiefs. And we'll get into why and what a bunch of prima donnas it feels like. We got some in that Chiefs locker room. But anyways, there are two teams that got A-plus grades. Two teams that got A-plus grades. The way that they're treated by owners, coaches, the facilities, everything, all the accoutrement of being an NFL player is through the roof when it comes to being a Miami Dolphin or a Minnesota Viking. Now, the Vikings have facilities that are apparently second to none. I mean, they're just the best facilities. The Dolphins have put an awful lot of money into their facilities and into their team. Stephen Ross has put together a very good football team, and players have noticed, and players are happy that they're treated well down in Miami. I think that that could be a little bit of a lifestyle thing that is affecting that grade as well. But the Dolphins are a rising team that matters again. And Stephen Ross, there might be an awful lot to dislike about him, but being an NFL owner, his players are saying he's done a very good job. The Eagles, Broncos, Ravens, Packers, and surprisingly, the Jacksonville Jaguars all graded out with A's, solid A's. Now, the Jaguars are interesting because they, under the Urban Meyer regime, which didn't last very long, were way at the back of the pack of grading out well. Now they are one of the best grades. It's amazing what happens when you cut out the cancer, isn't it? So Jaguars really rising there. Packers have always had a reputation for being great to their players. Ravens, the Broncos, the Eagles are all getting A's, A- for the Falcons, the Bills, and the 49ers. The 49ers come up short in one category, and it's a category that we've talked about a little bit. Say whatever you want about the stadium. The stadium has provided the team with a good locker room for sure, but their actual facilities, the 49ers' actual facilities in which the players practice on, train in, lift weight in, get their physical therapy in, don't even measure up to some Texas high school football facilities. Like Indiana University, my alma mater, one of the premier doormat of major college football, Indiana's weight room blows away the San Francisco 49ers, who basically have a tin shed. Now, it's a nice tin shed, but it is hardly the most state-of-the-art thing you've ever seen. It might have a lot of state-of-the-art equipment, but just the actual shed that they train. It's a shed. It's a shed. It looks like where a greenskeeper would keep all of the stuff that they needed to maintain a golf course. It's not some state-of-the-art facility. It's a shed. It's a tin shed. But when it comes to treatment of families, 49ers get an A-. Food in the cafeteria, 49ers get an A-. The food should be great out here in the Bay Area. Nutritionists, they get a B+. Locker room, B+. Training room, they get a C. For a staff, it's a B-. Shanahan graded very well. Jed York graded very, very well. So the 49ers, forget about what I say, forget about what you say, forget about what fans or anyone in the media says. The players in the NFL have voted the 49ers are a very good organization to be a part of. Other categories. Working conditions. Now, what working conditions is a lot of things, right? You can put a lot of different topics into the bucket of working conditions. Miami Dolphins graded out at number 1. At 32, we have the Washington Commanders. Head coach. Even though the Kansas City Chiefs got crushed in a lot of other places by their own players, Andy Reid gets an A+ as a head coach. Dead last was Josh McDaniels of the Raiders. So he was hated, and he's no longer even in the room. Willing to invest owners. Stephen Ross, number 1 with the Miami Dolphins. At number 32, this is Clark Hunt and the Kansas City Chiefs. And a lot of the Chiefs' acrimony about the F- grade is that apparently the entire team, after the first Super Bowl in these back-to-back Super Bowls, was told, you're going to get a new locker room. We are going to redo the facility, and you're going to get a brand new locker room by the time you come back for next season. Well, the Chiefs showed up this season, and the only thing they got were new chairs. That's it. Oh, the poor Kansas City Chiefs only got new chair. I mean, did the only guy that they poll here about the Dolphins and the Chiefs was what, Tyreek Hill? I love the Dolphins, hate the Chiefs. Look, it is funny that the Chiefs would grade out so poorly, and it's also a little bit of a dunking on yourself. Like, what good is the opinion of all of these NFLPA players saying the Kansas City Chiefs are the worst at this when they've won back-to-back Super Bowls? It obviously means you bunch of pampered pussies are bigger, delicate flowers than you claim to be. I mean, that's really what this is. I want nicer facilities. Seems to be the crux of the biggest complaints in Kansas City. When it comes to bad teams just have bad practices, and I don't mean like just bad business practices, I guess. The Bengals got 3 F-. The way that they treat families, F-. Like, what are you doing to players' families to get an F-? Families, nutrition, that makes an awful lot of sense. First of all, you're in the Midwest where the official state bird is a side of ranch dressing. You have a city in Cincinnati that is so culinarily devoid of ideas, they lump chili on spaghetti and call it cuisine. So you're in the wrong place for any element of nutrition or food to begin with. And then the locker room got a D+, but an F- for food, nutrition, and families for the Cincinnati Bengals with a D+ for a locker room. The Steelers got a great grade for Mike Tomlin. Everything else was suspect, including getting an F- in treatment of families. Again, what the fuck are you doing to players' families to get an F-? The Chargers, it was revealed, on game day will have a room for your family, but if you want to leave a kid in that room, you got to pay like $75 for the first kid and $50 for all subsequent children. I mean, maybe it's Los Angeles Charger daycare prices that have allowed the NFL salary cap to grow by $30 million. But that just, how that wouldn't be gratis to me is just, I don't know. The Arizona Cardinals got a D+ for families. Again, what are you doing to make guys say, my wife and kids were treated so bad on game day, I'm giving you a D+, I'm giving you an F- for family treatment. That's just terrible. The Commanders got 4 Fs, but you know what? I'm kind of giving them a mulligan on this one because the Commanders have an awful lot of mopping up to do from the single worst 20-year tenure of NFL ownership we're ever going to see in our lifetimes. Like, that's how bad Daniel Snyder was at all of this. So it's going to take a while for the Washington Commanders to dig themselves out of, Villa del Snyder. So they get a little bit of a mulligan on that, but Cardinals performed terribly. Steelers performed terribly. The New England Patriots performed terribly. Awful lot of young players said that they didn't like Bill Belichick. Well, guess what? Bill Belichick didn't like you guys either. He wasn't there to be your friend. He was there to be your coach. I love this stuff. Pretty funny. Pretty funny, these grades coming out. And I just think, like, what's the whole point of this exercise? If the worst graded team in football just won back-to-back Super Bowls, what good are the grades? What good are the grades? If you've proven that your players will just bitch and moan about anything, regardless of the level of success that they're enjoying with a particular franchise, I mean, I don't know what that's supposed to say or mean. I just know some of these players look like delicate little ass flowers. Thanks for watching. Tune into the Damon Bruce Show live on YouTube every weekday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific.